Welcome to the Growth Now movement. I'm your host, Justin Shank. I'm an entrepreneur, speaker, and podcaster who years ago decided to go on a journey on how to grow in all areas of my life. What I found out was it's really a matter of focusing on the 4 pillars of life: business, relationships, spirituality, and wellness. And that's what we do here. We explore how to continuously grow in those areas, all while having a ton of fun doing it. I'm really excited you're on this journey with me. Now let's get to this week's episode. This week, I sit down with Clay McDaniel. Clay is the CEO of Ripl, a marketing software company with apps used by millions of small business owners. Ripl bills itself as a social media marketing secret weapon for every small business and entrepreneur. Now, that's why he's the perfect guy to have this conversation with right now, because he believes that social media is the greatest way to establish connections with your audience or your customer or whoever is engaged with what it is you're putting out there. And with that being said, Ripl makes it easy. They literally have a social media marketing team in your pocket. So it's really cool. Guys, definitely check out Ripl if you get a chance. It's ripl.com. Just some great information over there. But we dive into the art of social media and how you can use it to truly engage, connect, and grow your business very, very quickly. So this episode is for anybody who is looking to grow an audience. I think you guys are going to love it. Now, before we get there, I want to remind you guys that Growth Now Summit Live is right around the corner, and we have less than 60 tickets left. So if you head over to growthnowsummit.com, get your tickets today and join us and learn from the world's top thought leaders, motivational speakers, entrepreneurs, and so much more. I cannot wait to connect with you in person, finally, May of 2022. So grab your tickets now and do not miss out. Now, without further ado, let's get to the episode with Clay McDaniel. Clay, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to dive into your thought process behind everything that you're doing, because one thing that you say, and you said it before I hit record, but I've also seen it in some other interviews you've done. You talk about how, your personal story is so important to the entrepreneur, to the build of a business and all that stuff. And I want to dive into that side of things and how Ripl's helping entrepreneurs all over the world do that. But first, why don't we take a minute and you tell us, who is Clay McDaniel and how did you get to where you are today?
Well, I guess first and foremost, I'm a father, and I'm, kind of a person that's always spent my life and career kind of putting my life first and building a career around that. And so I've spent the last 20 years kind of working at the nexus of marketing and technology and entrepreneurship, small businesses, not-for-profits. Prior to coming to Ripl, I spent a few years helping a software company as the head of marketing that serves educational institutions and nonprofits. And even going back to when I founded and built a digital marketing agency, we always had a portion of our client base that was pro bono or community events organizers, servicing kind of a portion of the community, not necessarily for profits, as a totality of our customer base. And so I guess for me, like what keeps me running and what keeps me inspired every day is just hearing the kind of passion and the stories of entrepreneurship from others. And so I've always kind of been involved in software, professional services, and serving other companies. But, at the end of the day, like what gets me excited is hearing what is motivating and exciting, another person that's putting their heart and soul into a business.
And where does that come from? Obviously, being an entrepreneur yourself and, building a business, a digital marketing agency. How long ago was that, by the way?
Well, so I've done 2 companies that I've sort of started from scratch and bootstrapped and built up on my own. And then I've worked for 3 or 4 others kind of in between. And so my sort of personal journey, has been one that has had independent entrepreneurship, has had sort of like partnership, and then also, working inside of larger companies. And so I actually came out of a streaming media business and founded the agency. That was in 2006 timeframe, and built that company up through 2007, 2008. That was acquired in 2011. And then I spent several years working for the acquirer, which is one of the big public media holding companies, Interpublic Group. And then before that, and even after that, I've worked for, larger companies owned by others. Ripl, I got involved with in the very early days because I had actually previously worked with the founder and with the chairman. And so, they called me and said, "Hey, this is starting to get some air under its wings. would you be interested in coming and kind of jumping in the early stages and being a part of this? So, yeah, I mean, for me, like I have kind of taken each next career step based on being excited, interested in the business and in the team behind the business. But I've never kind of looked at it as sort of a straight line or a single path.
No, I love that. And so what's your love? Where'd your love come from for the entrepreneur, for the smaller companies, for the people that are, for lack of a better term, still bootstrapping some of their business, right? Like these are the individual, your target market are individuals who can't afford, their own marketing team or marketing person. And obviously falling into Ripl is a great opportunity for them. But where did that love come from? And like, why is that a desire for you to help them?
Well, I mean, a few things. I've got a sort of longstanding tradition in my family with my sister, with my father, with grandparents who were independent business people that had an idea, had a vision, and like set out to kind of accomplish that on their own. My wife is an independent business person, an entrepreneur, I guess you'd say, several times over. And I just think like as I've gotten older, kind of progressed in my career, I found that it's really that story. It's the individual passion. It's the sort of risk taking and the desire and ability to kind of make all of your income and your kind of identity and your time and focus invested in your own skills and talents, right? Rather than that of another. And that to me, I guess, is just as my career's progressed, has become the kind of most inspiring thing. And I honestly can't quite imagine the rest of my career working outside of that. So I could imagine, working in a different kind of solution or context than SaaS software, but as a sort of end customer, as a core audience for what I'm working on, I just find that, the individual kind of passion for, their own interests and skills is what gets me up in the morning.
No, yeah, for sure. Now, obviously we talked a little bit before I hit record about how the world has changed with COVID. And, we talked about my live event and how we've shifted and had to move. And so I'm curious, obviously being in a SaaS industry and building out where you're building, I'm sure you guys have seen massive benefits from people working from home and doing, have you seen benefits and growth in your company since then?
Well, it's been a mix. I mean, so yes, there has been, I could think, heightened interest and heightened awareness of the importance of using social media and email and digital communications in a socially distanced world to kind of get your message out, to use for promotions, for marketing, for sales, even just to communicate changes in hours or operating decisions. Hey, today we're doing pickup only or curbside, this weekend, whatever it may be. And so that's helped us and helped other software tools that are purpose built for small businesses and community organizations and nonprofits that need to get the word out. But it's also been challenging because, as we've all seen, and we're now seeing, like, we're 18 months into the effects of the pandemic, and the impact from a macroeconomic standpoint, but just a local community level, has disproportionately fallen on independent business owners and small businesses and community organizations. And so, the reality is, like, big public companies, multinational companies, they have a balance sheet that can weather months, quarters, years of downturn or changes in their business prospects. Small businesses don't have that buffer. They have mostly their time and their commitment, but not in most cases the cash to kind of weather these long, extended changes in their operating environment and in their demand for their products and services. And so for us, being a software tool that really focuses on the smallest and the most kind of independent businesses, that means that their vulnerability is ours too. And so we've had kind of a mix of impact over the last year and a half.
No, that makes sense. And so I love that you talk a lot about the art of storytelling and how you can utilize social media to do it and hopefully do it well, right? And obviously Ripl is a company that helps you do it better. And now there's two types of entrepreneurs. Like there's the entrepreneur who builds their business, their brand off their story, like me. I'm a believer of that. I'm a lover of that. I think that it helps you connect with the individuals that are paying attention. And then of course there's the other bigger brands that have built, based off of dollars and cents, right? So why is it the storytelling option that you fell in love with? And what are some tips and tricks you can give some of our listeners to really tell a good story on social media?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that since time immemorial, a story that's repeatable, that's memorable and can be repeated and passed on has always been the sort of anchor of good marketing. I mean, going back to the days of the souk and the bazaar and, the marketplace for produce or handmade goods, there has always been competition. And the purveyor, the, owner operator of the business is going to have certain similarities in what they're selling or have that on offer. But the story that they're able to provide along with that gives the buyer, the customer, something to kind of latch onto, to remember, and is likely to bring them back to that stand, to that, outpost later. And so I think, for thousands of years and up to the present day, the story that you're able to kind of craft and to share, especially if it's one that's true, that's authentic, is likely to just kind of create another layer around whatever the product or the service is that you're offering and create a higher likelihood of repeat business. And the secondary benefit of a great story is that because it's shareable, because it can be remembered and then passed along, it creates that sort of organic, downstream lead gen or customer acquisition benefit as well. If it's a story well presented and well told and done so in a timely manner. So I think that what's often forgotten, or what maybe has gotten kind of long in the tooth, is the social part of social media. These platforms were created originally for us to just share stories and share updates and share information about ourselves person to person. And then there was kind of a period where the large companies and brands out there kind of co-opted those platforms to basically cement a brand. And what I love is that now we're kind of going through the third wave where the smallest businesses and community organizations are using these social networking platforms for a truly social purpose. It's just that the social component is between themselves and their customer. So we generally advise, as a best practice, to not, miss the social component, really invest in that back and forth, the two-way interchange, and all of the kind of opportunity that the social networking platforms provide for, true exchange.
Yeah, I love that. Now, obviously, working with all these companies through Ripl, I'm sure you've seen it all, right? Like the big shots and misses and big shots and wins and so on and so forth. What are some of the best tactics you've seen beyond just the social back and forth? Like how can an entrepreneur or small business engage their customer, right? Like, I love the fact that you were using these stands. Like, obviously with me and my brand, it was easier. Like, hey, here's my story. Here's why you should follow along. With these stands where you need to get people to come and buy your stuff, how do you get those people engaged when you're posting a picture of a water bottle that you're selling? By the way, I just looked at a water bottle. That's why I said it. Or a piece of fruit or whatever. What are some tricks and tactics people can use?
Yeah. Well, I mean, a few of the kind of top recommendations we always have. One is that you have high frequency. So I think that social media can be a little bit scary or off-putting for many independent business owners, because they may think, well, there's these special rules and sort of an approach that I need to take, and I'm concerned that I'm not going to do that in the best way. And so why should I even get started? Others may think, well, it's really just there for me to post a sale or a promotion or a marketing update. And then beyond that, I'm not quite sure if I'm going to do it right. What we really recommend is to treat it like a daily habit. You need to be using it as if it's your front desk, or as if it's your, an extension of your telephone or your email inbox. It's another place where you can have frequent exchange and interaction. And if you do so, then essentially your customers and your potential customers are going to treat your social media accounts as if it's in sort of always open, always on place where they can come and ask questions and engage and exchange information with you. If you treat it as a place that you're going to come into once a week or once a month, then it's just, going to be like the open sign is not on at the front of your store. The second thing we recommend is to really have a mix of information you're presenting there. So, customers want all of the insight. They don't just want to know what's on offer or for sale that day. They want to know about your latest menu. They want to see examples that you are, a supporter of and a provider to lots of different other kinds of customers that other small businesses in your region or in your city or even on your, block are part of kind of the fabric of your own business. And so showing evidence of the whole kind of rhythm of your business and not just the sort of marketing and sales side of it is the way that you actually present as authentic, but also show your own hustle, show your own drive, like show the amount of like commitment and time and effort that you're putting into the business. And that counts for a lot in the eyes of a customer that is already, maybe a frequent buyer or maybe isn't, and is just kind of doing research and trying to figure out, well, is this the hairstylist or is this the grocery store or is this the dry cleaner that, I'm going to go patronize today, or should I choose another one that's a little bit closer to me? And third, we really recommend that social media needs to be consistent and engaging. And so the best way that you can do that is not, just using every last photograph you have on your iPhone, but instead using a little bit of time and effort to put a little bit of polish, consistent branding, whether that be a logo or a URL or a phone number. And if you're able to use animated and video content, that really helps kind of stand out and gets a little bit more reach and engagement out of your social media posts than just using a static image or no media at all.
Yeah, no, Clay, I know people are listening to this right now and they're going, all these are great ideas. As a matter of fact, I may have heard a lot of them, but I don't have time. I don't have time to do this. I don't have a team to do this for me. And that's where Ripl comes into play, right? By the way, this sounds like a paid advertisement, how I'm saying it, but this is just the
No, I mean, it's true. Like in my lifetime, like one of the sort of lessons, takeaways, I guess, that I have is that software is magical. And what I mean by that is that when people, companies, passionate individuals build a beautiful, elegant piece of software, the primary benefit to you, whether that's you as an individual just moving about your day with a mobile phone, or you're a business owner or a marketer or an operations manager, whatever your role, when software is built in a way that's elegant and really meets your needs, the primary benefit to you is that it gives you time back. This is the main reason why like software was created in the first case, is that with lines of code running on a phone or running on a browser, we are able to essentially get time back in our lives or in our business to dedicate to other purposes. And what we hear all day long from our customers is, well, now with Ripl, I can do in 10 minutes a day what it might have taken me an hour or two previously to do with skills I don't have, because your software is doing it for me. And more importantly, like it's time that I might have had to spend with an agency partner, an independent marketer, or learning how to do this myself. And because your software helps me do it so easily on my own, on the go, on my phone, I get that 45 minutes or an hour or 2 hours back each and every day that I can invest in my business, because that's what I really am passionate about and what I care about.
Yeah. And that's huge. I know a lot of entrepreneurs personally who they skip the social media because like, I don't have the time. And the reality is, and I'm sure you can speak to this too, is like social media is a must. Like it needs to happen within business these days, or there's a good chance you're going to fail, right?
Well, and I think prior to the COVID pandemic, it may have been viewed as a sort of nice to have by independent business owners, by community organizations. Maybe I'll have one, like an Instagram channel, or maybe I'll have a infrequent updates to Twitter. That'll get it done. But what we've learned in the last year and a half is that, honestly, most research, most digging around, most of that happens before patronizing a small business or making a purchase is happening on the web. It's not somebody calling their friend and saying like, where's the, best place to get a burger in town, whatever. Most research is happening through searches. And a lot of those searches are happening on the social media platforms. Still more are happening through Google and Bing. And, social media is being rewarded with really prime placement, prime real estate, I guess you'd say, in those search results. So if only to make sure that when people are looking for what you have on offer in your city, state, or just online, you need to maintain a frequent and consistent social media presence, because it's going to give you more chances than just your website to show up for those searches. And for the most kind of savvy, for the most strong advocates for your business, the kind of customers that become like referral engines to bring you more new customers, your social media content is the easiest and the most likely way that they can provide that advocacy. right? If you have an engaging video or a quick post or a shot of your storefront or, a picture of your menu that day or whatever it may be that's relevant for your business, that's what makes it easy for a customer who loves you to kind of spread the word, spread the love.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I love exactly what you said there. I mean, I have way more views on my social media every single day than my actual website. Like, I just feel like, like people are using Facebook now as their website.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, more and more what you are doing is you basically have your website is kind of like the driveway, but the home, as it were, for your business is your social media presence. And that's where you can redecorate from time to time. That's where you can like open and close the door and the windows from time to time. You can let people really see like all of the richness of what your business or your community organization or your nonprofit has on offer. But it's also true that, with your website, it needs to be like up and accurate, but that's just not where people go to get current and frequent updates. At most, they're going to go to your website to kind of find out what your address is or what your hours of operation are. But everything else about the kind of like dynamic and changing nature of your business, we've trained each other that if I want to find out what's happening with you or with your kiddos or your family or with your personal life, whatever, I'm going to go to your Facebook page. I'm going to go to your Instagram feed. I'm going to go to your, YouTube channel, whatever it is. Right. And similarly with a small business, even with the very largest businesses today, their social media feeds are the kind of like publishing channel for what's happening now. And you just simply are missing out if you're not taking advantage of that. And I think that the kind of longstanding fear that it's going to be too time consuming is just a fallacy now. Like the tools that the social media networks provide for you as a kind of creator and publisher are getting better and better all the time. Software that's out there like ours that just gives you the full like power of animation and video and social publishing and tracking and analytics and reporting. Like we're 15 years now into this kind of revolution where as a small business owner, you really need to be using this as one of the kind of arrows in your quiver of your marketing activities. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, it costs me money every time I want to update my website. It doesn't cost me anything to update my social media. You know what I mean? And like, I think that's really the power, right? So let's talk a little bit more about Ripl itself, because I find it intriguing. How does it work? Like, how are people utilizing it? What kind of skills do people need? Who's the perfect person to use it? What's all that stuff?
Yeah, well, I mean, we built it first and foremost to just put a marketer and a video editor and a social media manager all in one, and to make that available to you as an independent business owner so that in 10, 15 minutes a day, you can get everything done that you need to. And so the kind of main uses of Ripl are, number one, you set your logo and your brand settings and your defaults, and then that every single post that you create, every video that you make with it, you can incorporate those. And so that gives you that consistency and the professional look that ordinarily, you'd have to spend thousands of dollars a month on a graphic designer or a video editor to accomplish. And our software just does that all for you right, out of the box. Secondly, we integrate with all the major social media platforms. So instead of having to save something off and then figure out where to find that file and go and use different tools to publish it, get it live, you can just, with a click of a button, connect and turn on all of your branded social media accounts.
Wow.
And publish that video out, and then it goes out live. Or we have a scheduler as well, so you can even queue up a whole week or even a month's worth of marketing campaign and updates.
It's a great tool.
Yeah, and just do it on the go, right? Like it runs on your iPhone, it runs on your Android device. You can use a browser and do it just when you have an extra 10 or 15 minutes during your day. And so really the kind of main benefit of it is that as a busy independent business owner, you're constantly being like pulled by customers, by what you need to handle in the moment. And when you get that little moment of 10 minutes, 15 minutes, even like on the bus on your commute or early in the morning or at the end of the day, you can then handle your social media marketing activities in that moment at that time using whatever device, even the mobile phone that's in your hand, and know that you're going to be putting stuff out there on the web that looks polished and professional and that you can be confident in. And so that's really why we built it. We built it for those that, frankly, don't have a background in marketing or graphic design or video editing. And we just put all of that into the software and just made it easy. So you make a few clicks and it comes out looking great.
No, that's awesome. And I mean, these types of tools are absolutely game changing for so many. I'm excited to dive into Ripl and check it out, just because I'm fascinated by these types of things that make my life easier, because the way we present ourselves on social media is the way we're viewed across the board. It's how we're viewed, how we do business, everything. And being able to, like you said, polish it up. Like by the term love, I'm being sarcastic, but I love going to people's social media and the photos aren't aligned. They're not good pictures. It doesn't look good. It's not on brand. It's their old logo with the new. And I'm just like, what are you doing? Like, there's tools just like Ripl out there that you could easily sign up and really kind of get everything in a line, which is absolutely crazy.
And it's also true that what more and more small businesses are finding is that digital advertising is the most kind of cost efficient and straightforward, simple way for them to get new leads and get new customers for their business. It's, I think also a fallacy that, well, social media advertising, Facebook advertising, Google ads, that's really just for the big businesses. Well, no, it's not. I mean, you can spend any amount of money, $25 a month, $50 a month, and you get the same efficiency of the cost of a click and a cost of a website visit or the cost of a phone call as the very largest companies do. So as more and more small businesses are finding that, as opposed to print advertising or trying to do radio ads or something, the most simple and direct and straightforward way that they can do targeted advertising to drive more customer awareness and more business for themselves are Facebook and Google ads. It's just a simple fact that video does better. Yeah. 5, 10, 15-second videos, they perform better. The digital advertising platforms just give videos more reach, better, more highly qualified customer views. And so with a tool like Ripl, it makes it easy to generate an MP4 video that's ad ready and not, have to pay like hundreds or thousands of dollars to a video editor to create that for you. Like, you can do it yourself for $15 a month.
Yeah, let's talk about that really quick. You talk about, being ad ready. There's rules and regulations that you have to follow across the platforms with all your ads. How does Ripl help individuals with that? By the way, I'm a big proponent of social media ads beyond anything else. I think all other advertising at this point is dead pretty much. Because
it's not as targeted. I mean, that's what, Google and Facebook have built with their advertising network platforms, is they've built the ability to be empathetic, mindful of what people's interests are. And then based on those interests, I see ads for camping tents. I see ads for fly fishing equipment. I see ads for, things that are relevant to my daughter's, soccer activities. And that's because I've put content and information out there through my social media channels. And then those advertising network platforms know, well, we're not going to show an ad to this guy for diapers or a pickup truck or golf cleats, because those things are not relevant to him. And I think that even though there's been this kind of overwhelming narrative that digital advertising is bad and it's overly sort of utilizing of people's information. And the reality is that the ad networks do a really diligent job of anonymizing everything, but just keeping the information available that allows an ad to come into your feed that's actually interesting and relevant to you. So I guess, my point of view is that small businesses should be using the power of these platforms, because why wouldn't you? Whatever incremental amount of money, as I said, 25, 50, $100 that you might have to invest in getting more new customers for your business. My view is that honestly, Google and Facebook ads are likely to be more cost efficient and effective in helping you do that than any of the other kind of local or even non-local advertising options that are going to be, made available to you.
Yeah.
So if you're going to do that, having a polished and professional looking 5-10 second video is the best way that you can kind of put an ad out there and put your best foot forward.
No, yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. Obviously with this podcast, I have the opportunity to interview some of the world's most successful people. And so my question for you is, what is your definition of success? And what are 3 things you do every single day to ensure that success for yourself?
Well, I have to say, I said it sort of at the outset, I'm building a life for myself and for my family. And then the work that I do, my career, it's in service to that, not the other way around. So I think the first thing is I want to go to bed every night and feel like I've been a great partner to my wife, and that, I've been a great dad to my daughters, and tried not to be a jerk. So one of the things that I do every day is just like end the day with a little bit of reflection, and have a conversation with my wife, and like think for myself, how'd the day go? Is there anything that I regret I should address or, resolve in the new day when I wake up in the morning? So that's number one. Number two is I read. I read, start the day, and I read to end the day. And the reason I do that is just that there's only so much I can kind of learn and take in from my colleagues and from our customers and from my family. And if I'm reading, National Geographic and the New Yorker and books and both fiction and nonfiction, like I'm getting this sort of amazing ability to just like expand what I know, and then to hopefully over time kind of let that percolate and synthesize and apply that into the rest of my life. So I think that, you don't even need a Kindle. You don't even need, a pocketbook and a bookstore. Libraries are sort of one of the greatest inventions of our species. And I think that if you have a library that's proximate to you, you've got, one of the most amazing achievements of humankind that's at your fingertips and available to kind of improve your mindset and improve your life. So that's number two. I just can't imagine a life without the written word in front of me at least 1 or 2 times a day. And then, for me, like I feel really strongly that success and mobility kind of go together. I think that we're a mobile animal, and we should be in motion. And so I try not to let any day go by and be in one place too long. So whether it's on my 2 feet or on a bicycle or in some other way, I try to do walking meetings. I try to cover ground. And I think that, throughout my life, I'm going to need to kind of be in motion, because I think I do my best thinking. And I think that it's one of the greatest pleasures to kind of be moving through this world. So for me, like that's kind of the 3 things that, I want to be regarded as a kind, empathetic father and partner and colleague, for my team. I want to be learning every day, and I want to be in motion as much as I can.
I love it. So I wrap up every single interview with the same question, but before we get there, give us all the good information. How do people get Ripl? How do they get a hold of you? What's all the good stuff?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Ripl's easy to find. It's RIPL. You can go to our website, ripl.com. You can find the app in the app stores. It's free to download and try. And beyond that, we basically just fill our own social media accounts with our Ripl handles out there on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, with as much kind of tips and tricks and best practices and good information that we can create and provide for small business owners. So even if you don't decide to give our software a try, you should follow our social media accounts, just because it's free advice for every independent business person. My name's Clay McDaniel. You should be able to find me. There's a fellow in Georgia who's internet famous for having caught an extremely large bass. But other than him, you're probably going to find me if you search on Clay McDaniel. And connect with me on LinkedIn, or shoot me a direct message on any of the social platforms that I use, and I'll be glad to get back to you as soon as I can.
Awesome. And like I said, I wrap up every single interview with the same question. Since the show is called The Growth Now Movement, that question is, in your life, what has been your biggest moment of growth?
I think having my 3 children. My daughters are the sort of clearest, most revealing mirror of myself that I could have ever imagined. And so I love them for the people that they are and the people they're becoming, and for their role in my life. But one of the things that I love most is just that every day in myriad ways, they sort of reflect back to me who I am and who I can be, and remind me about, ways small and large that I can be a better person. So, I think I wouldn't have predicted it, but as soon as I had kiddos, I realized they're going to be a sort of endless wellspring of my own growth too.
I love it, man. Clay, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your wisdom. And thank you for what you're doing along with Ripl for the entrepreneurial community, because it's a tool that's needed. And I'm glad to see that people are taking advantage of it, and social media is looking prettier and prettier every single day, man. So thank you so much.
No, very welcome. And thank you for this opportunity and the chance to chat and get to meet you. Appreciate the time.
Thanks. Thank you guys so much for being a part of the Growth Now movement. This is how you can really help me out. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please share it out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that fun stuff. And let's grow this movement to epic heights. And it's all going to be because of you guys. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.